Hey, what's up? My name's Izzy. I'm a fashion designer and maker, and I am obsessed with trying to make sustainable fashion actually happen. I am doing that with my brand Isaboko, where I use only old textiles and zero waste patterns. You're about to meet Liv, who is one of the most fearless, sustainable fashion trailblazers that I have ever met. She is the founder of the brand ByLiv Handmade, and her work has been seen on every musician from Casey Musgraves to The Last Dinner Party. She is probably the youngest person I know that has her own storefront, ByLiv Williamsburg. So if you want to know about her deep cut story, how she dropped out of high school and college, tripped acid to find herself, and quit trad wifing to dedicate herself to her practice, stay tuned. So what's the stitch? What is City Az?
City Az is an alternative high school in the West Village.
Not the alt high school.
I dropped out of high school when I was 15 because one of my teachers, I was in this geometry class, and it was a really bad high school. It was the High School for Environmental Studies, and it was like right next
That's
to...
so on brand for you.
Yeah, but it was not, because I was bad in middle school, got really bad grades because I had horrible ADHD, and like it was undiagnosed, and I just could not focus. So I did really badly in school, had horrible grades in middle school, and like with the way that it works here in New York, you have to apply to high schools like it's college, you know?
That's crazy. That's a very unique thing in the country. That's not where it is where I'm from.
No, it's so stressful.
Did you want to be an artist at this point, or were you like, I don't know?
I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was 13. I just got boobs. I was like a raging hormonal piece of shit. And I auditioned at LaGuardia for music and totally fucked up my audition because I had horrible stage fright. So and I was 13.
And you're 13.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know anything.
You're so self-conscious at 13.
Exactly.
So I ended up at this bad high school for environmental studies.
So you dropped out at 15.
I dropped out at 15 because my geometry teacher was sleeping with one of my classmates, and the classmate that she was sleeping with sat next to me in class, and like we flirted a little bit, and she hated me because she was sleeping with this, like, I guess he was kind of like super senior vibes, but he was like a young man, you know? She was sleeping with him, and it all came out afterwards, but she failed me for no reason. And so I dropped out, and then my parents were like, you need to finish high school. So we found City Az, which was like saving grace. I had never done well in school, never had good grades, never was able to focus, never was captivated by any of it. And then I started going to City Az, and it was just this like beautiful small school full of artists and full of like really misunderstood kids. I like found my people there. The teachers cared so much, and now it's like a really sought after school to go to. But it's like, you know, Julia Fox went there. She talks about it in her book. She talks about City Az, and like Basquiat went there and actually got kicked out. He got kicked out for throwing a pie in the principal's face.
Oh, that's so cool though.
At graduation, which I was
at
like,
graduation?
so cute, right? Comical. I love
so
that.
Sweet.
Yeah,
pulling
City
a prank
Az
at
vibe.
graduation is the move.
Yeah, I know. So City Az was awesome, and it was internship based. So you'd have 3 days a week where you'd go do an internship in the city, and then 2 days a week of classes. So it was a great balance because I couldn't focus on anything. So running around the city doing internships was so fun.
Insane, bro. What, do you remember the internships?
Yeah, so my first internship was in a kindergarten classroom.
Oh, right, and that's why you were a kindergarten teacher.
I fell in love with teaching. Yeah, I fell in love with teaching. I mean, I ended up graduating high school a semester early.
Slay.
So going from like a dropout to like totally excelling, and then being on the college track and graduating early, it was like a total 360.
Oh my god, it was just you needed a new environment.
Yeah,
that like was suited
I needed
to your
that
style.
hands-on thing.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
good.
have you talked about this before?
No, I don't think so. People don't really ask about like the ByLiv thing. Yeah.
That's like so formative though.
I know, it really is.
And I feel like people don't understand like how young you are, like, because you've built this whole situation that is amazing and like something that people dream of doing as their career, and you are so young and have been able to do it.
Yeah, 26, baby.
Like, how did you get empowered to do that?
So I think the first thing was I dropped out of college after 1 year. So I've had a lot more time to kind of like marinate than other people who did 4 years of college. So I studied photography for 1 year, and then actually I have this on video. I had a friend who was a film major there, and he would videotape everything that we did, like our little friend group in college. And we would do acid a lot, and we had this like one day where we were like having this acid trip, and he sat me down in my dorm room bathroom and was like, Liv, or I actually didn't even go by Liv at this point, Olivia. He was like, Olivia, who are you? What, like, crazy question to ask somebody who's 18 years old and on acid.
Tripping
And I kind of
acid.
looked at him and was like, I don't really know. And then I started word vomiting and just like talking about who am I? I don't know. Who am I? I don't know. I really like helping people and I really like taking pictures, you know? And then I came to this conclusion that I was like, wait a second. No, I like really like creating community and bringing people together and teaching and like being somebody who can like guide people in things. And that was kind of the vague answer that I gave. And then I kind of looked at him and was like, I think I'm a preschool teacher. I think I need to go back to teaching. And after that, I dropped out and went back to teaching, moved back to the city, went back to school. I was at BMCC taking night classes for early childhood education. And I was working at a Montessori preschool during the day and was just like, okay, I'm a teacher now. And that's kind of where the clothing came in. I started making clothes for the classroom because I was like actually destroying my clothes. And they don't make good teacher clothes. They really don't.
Really?
Yeah,
It has a different set of needs than the average clothing.
Totally.
It needs to be stain resistant.
So sturdy.
Yeah. Because people are tugging at you all day long.
Oh, yeah. No, especially I had 2 to 5-year-olds, and they were all over me. They were wiping things on me. They were ripping my clothes.
You're like, also, I love this.
I was like, I just need something to put on like over my existing clothing so I don't destroy my cool vintage dresses that I would wear to school. So I started making these big smock dresses that were like kind of like the classic like peasant dress. This was back in like 2019 probably, right before the pandemic. And so I made these big smock dresses and I'd come into work every day and put one on over my clothes and they had big pockets and they were cute. And then I could just take it off at the end of the day and like go be in my 20s in New York and wear my cool clothes.
Oh, that's such a slay.
Yeah.
I had this thought of something. I don't know if you've ever talked about this before or explored this. Like, you live in this world where it's very like almost 1890s, like early 1900s, where it's like, I'm a hand maker. I make everything from hand. I work with all these old textiles. I like run this store. I'm not like, I'm just like almost like a home shop maker. But then you're also like such like a punk radical rocker feminist. I don't know if you identify that way, but
definitely.
It's like, do you find the dichotomy of that, like, is that called dichotomy? Yeah, like the complete opposites of that. Like, how does that exist in your life?
I think that there's like nothing more rock and roll than like taking something that has in the past been like kind of such a negative for women,
holding them back, keeping them in the home,
and honoring that and being like, wait a second,
that was awesome.
No, we're reclaiming that. I mean, you can learn so much about a woman's kind of like mental state too, based off of like the linen. So I use antique linens, antique embroidered pieces from that era for my pieces that I make. Mm-hmm. So I find a lot of embroidery and it has like weird messages. Like there's this one piece that's hanging in the back of the store that says, I awoke and found that life was duty, and it's this like elaborate embroidery of this woman just sweeping up this massive pile of shit, and it's a pillow cover. And back in the day, people would put these beautiful hand embroidered pillow covers on their people had decorative beds a long time ago where it was like you'd have a room with like a made bed. So when guests came over, for show, exactly. And you'd have really nice pillow covers on the pillows and like everything. It was a status symbol to have really nice handmade linens in your home. That showed that like your wife had so much time to just sit and embroider.
So
like,
you must be making lots of money. Your wife
she wasn't doing the cooking and cleaning. She wasn't doing like anything except like making the home beautiful with like linens and embroidery and like decoration. Mm-hmm. But some women fucking hated their lives, obviously. So they were making things like that where it's like this pillow cover and it says, I awoke and found that life was duty. It's like, that's the most punk rock thing in the entire universe.
That's like crazy.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's so much that we have like yet to explore historically and like what women and textile arts were making in like early America.
That's kind of like my main drag.
That's your sweet spot.
And also like back then it was pre any like kind of crazy machine embroidery situation. So a lot of the lace is handmade. Like a lot of it is all just hand done. So taking these things that like somebody's gonna throw away because they're like, why do we need these like weirdly shaped like tiny tablecloths? It's like, no, that's a pillow cover, and somebody probably took like a few days to embroider that, turning it into
hundreds
a dress.
of hours.
Yeah, exactly. And then being able to turn that into a dress that then like is a modern dress that's like kind of sexy and
that's
kind of
cool as
badass,
fuck.
like, and have some girl running around or anyone running around in Brooklyn wearing this like badass piece of clothing that was, it's like a group project in a sense, you know, like I create the piece, but somebody else a long time ago created all the beautiful details. And you know, a lot of it's like falling apart. Like I'll have pieces where like the lace is coming off in certain spots, and that's my home project. I took my sewing machine out of my apartment because I was working too much at home, and I'll just bring hand sewing projects home. So at night I'll like repair lace. But I mean, honestly, my whole life kind of extends into this world that you're talking about where it's like very old fashioned. Like I don't have Wi-Fi at my apartment. I don't have a TV. I have no screens.
You respond to texts like 3 times a day.
I really like
Maybe
don't
less.
respond. I try to stay off.
You're like,
of
come
all
to the
devices.
store and talk to me.
Well, that's my thing. Is like, I was selling at all these stores all over the world before I opened up this shop. And I had online customers, and I was doing the whole online thing. And it was like, I felt so out of touch with my community. I had no idea who was buying my pieces. I had no idea where they were going. Like all I'd see is a address on a shipping label, and I'd ship them out. I had no idea what their future was. So when I opened up the shop, I pulled everything back. I took away my e-commerce, so I don't sell online anymore. I'm thinking about putting like a few special pieces online for brides who are far away, because I've started doing more bridal. But generally, if you want to find me, like, you know where I am. I'm here Wednesday through Sunday. I have people who, even friends of mine, who are like, hey, Liv, you haven't answered my text in a week. Just thought I'd pop into the store and say, come to my birthday party. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll be there. And I put it in my physical calendar. Like, it does piss people off that I'm out of touch in a certain sense.
No, but you are entirely entitled to do that.
Yeah.
And like, why have we built this system where you are not entitled to be alone?
Exactly. And I spend so much time alone. I live alone. My alone time is my recharge time, and it makes it so that I can come in here and like look at these beautiful old textiles and just like whip up something crazy, because my brain is just always like bustling with ideas because there's no distractions, you know. I make whatever comes out of me that day. Like I don't plan anything. I just go into my little like back studio room, and I'm like, all right, what fabric do I like today? And I pull out stuff I like look at it. Like, okay, you would make a great skirt, you would make a great this, you'd make a great that, and I just start sewing, and then it comes together. But like this dress right here, for example, it looked completely different when I was like 90% done with it, and then I literally cut off the entire skirt and did this like asymmetrical
let's do something different.
thing, and I was like, no, this is not what you're gonna be. Yeah. And then I added so it's kind of like building a sculpture in a sense.
Yeah. And you're really listening to the intelligence of the material and being like, what does this material want to be? Like, do you feel like the way that you're interpreting these materials that like were handmade, the original makers would love it and be like, wow, it's so cool, or they're like rolling in their grave like, no.
Totally.
Or like maybe
they'd
one or
love
the other.
it. They would love it. They would love it.
They'd be like, yes,
they'd love
liberation.
it. They'd be like, okay, I love that like my tablecloth is like freeing the nip right now. Like that's so cool, you know? Like
they're like, we made it.
Yeah. They would love it. I mean, they'd probably get mad at me for cutting crochet, but that's about it. But I always reinforce it.
No, I think that's fine.
I go in and I hand crochet all the
I used to be a
edges.
crochet purist. I'm not anymore. I'm like, that takes too long. We need to get going.
Yeah. No. Being a crochet purist is out in 2025.
Don't be a crochet purist.
No, we can cut it up, we can sew it, and you reinforce the seams, and it's fine. You put a little overlock over it. It's chill. Say.
Do you identify more as like a artist, artisan, like dressmaker, like, or you just make dresses?
I literally don't identify as anything in life because it's constantly changing. Like some days I'm a dressmaker, some days I'm like a pant maker, some days I sit here and play guitar all day.
I love that.
And I don't.
You're
make
so
anything.
multidisciplinary.
I do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that, the way that I've been able to like keep that up, I think, is just not taking any of it too seriously.
I love that.
And not being like, my identity is I am a fashion designer and I'm taking it so seriously, and this is like my art and my world, and this is everything, and this is like who I am.
Yeah.
Then I would hate making dresses.
No,
you know?
you're just about having like a wonderful life out here.
Yeah.
And making beautiful art and feeling really good.
Yeah.
And everyone's loving it. And it's quite inspiring, because I think a lot of
you.
young artists really do get lost in the sauce of like, this needs to be perfect and exactly how I want it, and like I can't focus on anything else I want to do, even though most creatives want to do a lot of different stuff.
Oh no, I have like 5 bins in the back full of like work in progress stuff that's just it didn't work the first time, so I put it down and started something else. And then sometimes I'll revisit that bin and like take something out, and then like inspiration will strike and I'll be like, oh, that's what this needed to be.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't a dress, you were a jumpsuit this whole time, you know?
That's so real.
Yeah. Pens, like whatever it was, I was just making stuff. So I started making some pretty wacky, crazy dresses, and people really liked them.
And you would just like share it on
and
Instagram
I would
or
just
TikTok?
take a pic. Well, I didn't even want to put them on the internet at first. I was like, these are my dresses. Like, I just wear them out with my friends. And then a friend of mine pulled a piece for a film she was working on, and she was like, I really want to use this dress that you wear to work every day. Like, can I use it? It feels like perfect for this character. And she got all these great behind the scenes photos. She was like, make an Instagram, just show off your work, show off your dresses. So I posted these great behind the scenes photos, and then being the person that I am, I was like, okay, now I'm gonna like do photo shoots with my dresses. And I have such bad ADHD that I was like, I can't pull that together. So I started just taking selfies in whatever I made
Looking
that day.
gorgeous.
Thank you. It really is such a funny art. Like, now I feel like I could do it with my eyes closed. I know exactly like the angle to tip my face and like the like face to make and like how to bend my arm to like make the dresses look good, but also to like make me like look good, you know?
You systematized it.
Totally. And I've been doing it for so many years now. But there was a point where like it really, really got to me. I think when I first opened the store and like things started snowballing and like people were coming in, it was getting bigger, and like the TikTok started blowing up, and like I was making these dress up videos, and like it became my life, and like being a dressmaker, being a fashion designer became my identity. And that was when I kind of lost it a little bit.
When you let it overtake you.
Yeah,
That's
I totally let it overtake me. And I would get really insecure about, I felt like if I posted a dress on Instagram and it didn't get enough likes or enough comments or enough anything, like it was not
good enough.
Well, it wasn't even that the dress wasn't good enough. It was like, I'm not good enough.
Oh,
you know,
everyone falls into this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we all have the same issue. It's like it hurts so bad. That's why everyone wants to quit social media. It sucks. It makes you feel horrible. You get to feel good for 10% of the time, then the other 90%, you're just chasing that 10%.
Yeah. No, totally. And that in that moment, I was like, okay, changes need to be made because this is no way to live. My partner at the time sat me down and was like, you are not yourself. You're addicted to your phone. You're addicted to Instagram. You're addicted. You go out and you like will only wear things that you made. Like, what happened to wearing like your cute little like Edwardian dresses? And I was like, no, I have to like sell myself. I have to sell my work. I have to sell my life. And it is hard when you're working for yourself, and every opportunity could be an opportunity to like make money and like
get more followers,
better at what you're doing, you know? And so yeah, they sat me down and were just like, you need to take a step back. I deleted my personal Instagram. That really helped. Couldn't delete any of the business stuff because that's how I was selling, you know? But I leaned more into the community of the store, and that really helped, and took down all my e-com. I was like, no more shooting stuff on
that takes
me
up so much
for
time.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, if you want one of my pieces, come into the store. And also another thing that I do here is I have my whole studio in the back, so I will fit anything to anyone. I've had people come in who are like size extra large, find a size extra small dress that they fall in love with, and I'm like, block off 30 minutes either right now or like in a few days, and we'll make it fit you. Ugh. And generally it'll be on the spot. They'll be like, okay, I'm just shopping around, I have 30 minutes, and I'll cut open the sides while they have it on, pin in some fabric, stitch that panel in, like make the skirt.
That's very cool of you.
Yeah.
And that's what you are able to do through this situation.
Exactly. Can't do that online. Can't do that when you're selling somewhere else. Yeah. And then I get to meet these people, and they come back, and I have a lifetime guarantee on anything I've made. So like, I have one woman who comes in, she bought a dress right when I opened, so like 4 years ago now, and she loves it so much. But it is made of like the most fragile 1800s, like gorgeous, gorgeous linen. But it keeps, you know, like wear keeps.
Does that stress you out, or are you like, it's
okay?
No,
not at all. Every time she brings it in,
you're so free of anxiety.
I know. Every time she brings it in, I'm just like, all right, well, we'll just patch it again. It takes 2 minutes to patch something, and now it's like full of patches.
Okay.
But it looks cool, and she's like, I love that this dress is growing with me, and I never charge for anything like that. Like, I include that all in
the original
price of the piece. Yeah.
Genius. Yeah. So how do you feel like you got to this place where you can be so free of anxiety even though you're managing like so much? Because that's amazing, and I think that I want to help like other young creatives get there, because I don't even know if I'm there. I'm there some days, and then sometimes I'm totally not there.
Yeah. I mean,
is that the same for you, or do you feel like you've really gotten
there? I think that in the past 6 months I've really gotten there.
How did you do that?
I simplified my life so much Because when you have something that you're so passionate about and you're like, this is the path I want to be on, this makes me happy. I love my job. I love going to work. This is amazing. You have to like take out a lot of the other stuff.
The bullshit that's making you unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, I left a relationship that was making me unhappy. I'm like single and not really dating now because I don't have time for it because I want to focus on this. It's like
you love this.
But that's taking away another element of stress. Because the reality is, it's like if you love something so much and it is like your passion and like making dresses, for example, and running this shop, like, yeah, it's stressful, but the stress that comes along with it is not debilitating stress. You know, if you really like look at that specifically, not everything else in your life, not your doctor's appointments, not your commute in the morning, not your friends' drama, not like the fight you had with your partner the other day, you know, and you just look at that like specific part of your life, that is all manageable stress. And another thing that really has helped is like the idea of radical acceptance, where it's like, okay, you could be stressed that your train is not coming and you're running late and you dropped your coffee on your pants or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, that's a stressful thing in life that might affect your day and affect like the work that you do that day. But if you just come at it with that radical acceptance of like, all right, well, you know what? This is just a moment. And once this moment passes, I'm ready to tackle the rest of the day and the rest of the moments. And
oh yeah, so how did you get to this point of radical acceptance? Like, did you have like a breaking point? Like, did you read about it somewhere? Like, how did you get there?
Okay, I'm gonna be really real with you. This is like the realest I've ever been about my personal life. Okay. I was in a 7-year relationship for
like a long distance situation, right?
Well, it was not long distance for a long time. It was long distance for about 1.5 years at the end. Mm-hmm. But I was in this long-term relationship. I had met this person when I was 19 years old, moved in together, like really became trad wife at a young age.
Wow.
And was living that like early 1800 or late 1800s, early 1900s, like women's life. And it was really weird. And he had a great job and he like, I don't know. I was put in a position where I could have lived that like ballerina farm life. And the life that I was living was like this big. It was like it was like the size of an olive. Mm. And it could have been really comfortable and I could have been really happy in a life the size of an olive, but I was not happy. And it took a really long time for me to leave that situation, mostly for a lot of the reasons why the women back in the early 1900s, late 1800s couldn't leave their husbands, because I had not been on a lease since I was 19 years old. I had no credit because I stopped using my credit card when I met him. I had put everything into the business. So on my personal taxes, I was making no money.
You're giving me chills right now.
I know. I was like stuck in this relationship where I was not happy, not being fulfilled.
But did you even process that you were unhappy? Because you're like, this is everything I'm supposed to want.
No, I had no idea. And I had all my single friends who were dating in New York were like, you're so lucky. You have this great guy. He has a great job. You have a great future together. And it was when we went long distance, he moved to California for work. And there was this moment where it was like kind of expected for me to give all of this up, as if like everything I was building was a placeholder. And he was like, okay, so now you can open another little store in California. And I was like, no, I don't think you understand. I've built myself a world here and this is really important to me. And like, I can't give that up. And then
he thought his work was so much more valuable because he was making more money or whatever. That your stuff is always just second to.
Or just the idea that like being a sustainable fashion designer is like not a real job, you know? Having a little boutique is something that you can do anywhere, you know? And there was like no awareness of like the community that was built and like all of it, you know? The designers that I stock here, like everything. And in that moment, I kind of was like, oh, okay, I am not moving to California. I'm staying here. And we did long distance. We tried to make it work because we had been together for such a long time, but it fizzled out after that. It was just like, oh, we're not on the same page at all. And that was kind of the first like red flag where I was like, oh, wait a second. Like I have my own world. And it was something that had never occurred to me before. I was not like, oh, I've built something. Never crossed my mind because I was like, just in la-di-da land, making my dresses, happy. Like I loved the people that stocked here. I loved having the store, but it didn't feel as serious until it was serious. And until I had that sobering moment of like, wait, no, I'm not giving any of this up. Like I've built something crazy. And I had a moment of reflection where I was like, if I walked away from this, I'd be walking away from not only like myself,
Yeah.
but all of these other people.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. And that's when I started taking this extremely seriously and was like, wait a second, I've built something great. Let me nurture it
Yeah.
for myself and let me live for myself. And that's kind of when like the radical acceptance came in, where I was like, okay, I trust the universe. I'm terrified right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've had
Your safety net is gone.
Yeah, my safety net was gone. I was like, I'm going to have to pay my rent with this. You know, there were months I was still paying rent when I was with him. We like split an apartment. But if there was a month where I was like, ooh, it was a hard month at the store, he'd be like, oh, I got you. It's okay. Like, I'll pay this month's rent.
Mm-hmm.
So safety net's gone. Like the fallback plan of like, being just like a wife or whatever it was gone. Like it was just me and Lexi, my dog, out in the world. And I was like, I got to make this work. I trust the universe.
Easy.
Yeah. And it's like,
that is radical and punk AF.
And it was the second I left that relationship and like was like, okay, I'm going to live for myself and only do things that make me happy, that ironically enough, I started doing a ton of bridal, and that's really good money. And that started floating me, and I had to start paying my own rent for my own apartment. And it was like, no, the universe got you. Like, you left that relationship, and then ironically I started taking on all these bridal clients, and now I'm making all these wedding dresses for people. And that's great because, you know, they're a lot more work, they're a lot more detailed, but it's a bigger payout
and a huge pressure, like social pressure of like you're making this moment for them.
Well, you know, actually I've found that bridal is not as stressful as I thought it would be, or as people think.
Wow.
Because it's like you're really just the vessel of creating this dream dress for this person. And it's so intimate. Like the relationship between a bridal designer and a bride is so beautiful. I have so many amazing moments where it's just me and the bride hanging out, talking about stuff.
Getting to know each other. Wow. I'm so glad that bridal is working out for you. And you've
so
also
fun.
dressed some awesome, huge bands too.
Totally.
And
I
what
know.
other huge moments have you had like in the past few years?
Oh, man. Well, I costume designed a play. That was really fun.
Right. That
Loved
was huge.
that.
What was the play?
It was called Morning Journal. It was at the Brooklyn Center for Theater Research.
Yeah, you're really building out this beautiful career for yourself
well,
as a whatever you call it.
It's like I'm not just a dressmaker. I can costume a play. I'm costuming a film right now. That's gonna be really, really fun. It's like anything. I'm not afraid of any opportunity. I used to say yes to almost everything, and now I just say yes to things that I like the idea of.
Yeah. You don't say yes to get the opportunity. You say yes when you want to do it.
Yeah, I don't say yes to the opportunity. I say yes to the experience of working with the person who's reaching out, of like tackling the project or the problem that is like on the table.
Yeah. And this is what we were talking about earlier,
yeah.
about like everyone tells young artists and designers like say yes to everything, and that's horrible advice because you're giving away so much of your own energy to stuff you actually could be really enjoying.
Say yes to the stuff that 5-year-old you would be like, what? That's so cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about running the store, because I feel like this is such a unique and special setup, and not a lot of young artists I feel like own their own stores or like have their own stores. Like what is that like? Like, is it a lot of pressure? Do you have a lot to manage? Like what are the ups and downs of running the store?
So I really impulsively opened this store.
Right. You found an awesome Craigslist.
Found an awesome Craigslist spot.
Yeah.
And I actually was sitting on a roof with a bunch of friends. Shout out to Samson Jeter, who is the reason why I opened my store impulsively.
Shout out Samson.
Samson, I'm sitting on this roof. It's summertime. I'm like hanging out with friends, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna open a store, and I'll call it Live ByLiv or something like that. And he laughed and went, I'll open a store across the street when you do that and call it Samson by Samson. And it was like in that moment where I was like having like a man like look at me and be like, your dream is like funny. I was like, oh no, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm gonna actually do this. And within a month I had found a spot. I sat down with the landlord and was like, I'm gonna be really real with you. I've saved up enough money to pay for like 3 months of rent here and cover like the deposit and all the like other stuff. I don't know if this is gonna work out. I can't sign like a retail lease that is going to be like a 10-year lease, because a lot of these retail leases are like you sign on for 10 years. And he was like, listen, I fuck with you. I like your like vision. I like the stuff you're making. We can do like a trial few month lease. And I've now been here for 4 years, and It's amazing.
And you originally came and saw it, and he had not let a lot of people rent it, but you were like, oh, I'm not going to change anything. And he was like, okay, like I'll let you
so
rent
actually, the landlord has lived in the building for his entire life. He's 85. He's quite literally my best friend. Love you, Phil. He is the best. He is the best of the best. And his wife, Sophia, is amazing. She like sometimes will bring down dinner for me when I'm here late. So sweet. Great relationship with both of them. But I found the space. It was the first space I looked at. The Craigslist photos were like not great. There's fluorescent lighting.
That's when you know it's good.
I know. I hate overhead lighting, and it was like all overhead lit. And so I just came and looked at it, fell absolutely in love with the tin walls, the tin ceiling, like the brick. It's such a unique space. And it used to be a speakeasy, like social club from, I believe, like the 20s to the 80s, like for a really long time.
And in some ways it still is.
But yeah, it was an incredible space. Fell absolutely in love with it. Was just like, Phil, like I need this space. And the real estate agent had warned me beforehand. He was like, this guy doesn't seem like he really wants to rent it out. It seems like he has a special connection with this retail space. And he did, because he grew up coming down here and hanging out at the bar. You know, he grew up upstairs. He was like, he has all these stories about all the characters that used to hang out here. There was somebody who came in and wanted to open a coffee shop and paint the walls white, and he like cursed them out and chased them down the block.
I love that you did that.
Yeah, and then I came in and he was like, this girl's a kook, but I like her. And yeah, I've been here for 4 years and hope to be here forever.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
So tell me like what your like daily life is, and like the struggles of the store, and like the great parts about it and the bad parts about it, and like what that's all about.
Well, I mean, the great part is that I've found such a beautiful community of people who
and you have community events all the time.
Yeah,
are those rocking it out?
Yes, we do community events all the time. We have designers come in and do pop-ups. Basically, I just have the mindset of like, I am fortunate enough to have this space, so I should be sharing it with other people.
In the beginning, were you thinking maybe it'll just all be your brand and your items, or did you always want to share it with other designers and stock other people?
Well, when I first opened, I had my sewing machine and my whole studio right here in the store. Now it's in the back room and it's a separate space. The store is the store, and then I work back there. But initially it was like storefront studio. So I was making things right in the windowsill, and I was selling my pieces. And the way that I got a bunch of other people in here was just through people coming in and wearing stuff they made, and me being a chatty Cathy and being like, hey, I love that sweater you're wearing. And they'd be like, I knitted it. And then I'd say, sell your stuff here at the store. So it's a lot of people from the neighborhood.
What a great way to get people in your store.
A lot of it was word of mouth. And then like I'd find people on Instagram. I'd find people like on Depop, wherever, and I'd reach out if I really liked their stuff and thought that it would speak to our customers. But now we have like a great batch of amazing people who live in the neighborhood and support the shop and support all the designers and are excited to see new work in. Yeah, we do little pop-up things. I like to host for like anyone who needs a space to sell their work.
What are like the hard parts about doing this? And you're so young, and it's like you don't have a business background. Like was that like a huge learning curve? Like were there stressful moments?
Well, I had to teach myself how to not only be a store owner and a fashion designer and a tailor and a social media expert, but also how to like do bookkeeping and run a business from bottom to top. So that has been probably the trickiest part, is just keeping track of everything, keeping track of inventory, keeping track of like structuring it so that it's organized. I'm an older sibling, so I have that older sibling syndrome where I'm like, I can do everything myself.
I can do everything. I'm not going to ask for any help. Everything's going to be fine. I can do it.
Exactly.
I'm also
and
an older sibling.
Yeah, you get it. So I've been
Why do we
asking
do that
for
to
help.
ourselves?
I have no idea. I've thought about it so much. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Do you dream of one day like not running any of the business and just being a design creative, or do you like running the business?
I like having my toes in the business end of it, just so I know what's happening. But I mean, the big dream is to one day grow Reworked Runway into something bigger.
Yeah.
And have this be my like bridal studio, because I'll never let go of this storefront. This is my space. This is my home. Have this be just me, bridal studio, and then open a secondary retail location that's like much bigger and can stock a lot more designers.
All independent makers.
All people who are mostly side hustle designers, all sustainable designers, and just have a much bigger store. And instead of calling it ByLiv, call it Reworked Brooklyn, and stem that off of the runway show.
So good.
Yeah.
I really feel that is close.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's close?
I feel it's really
Or
close.
do you feel like you have a few more
I feel it's really
years?
close. And then to run, we're planning the next runway show now. We're in like the planning stages.
Which is how
of
I met
it.
you, which
Yeah.
was lovely. An amazing experience. And if you are a designer that's lucky enough to get to be part of it, like that's
So
a huge
fun.
experience.
It's so fun. I mean, and it's just, it was the same, actually the runway show was exactly the same trajectory as the store, where I thought to myself, I'm going to have a runway show. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to open a store. I'm going to put this on for myself, for my dream. And then once I had the space of the store, I was like, let me share it with people. Let me open up the racks. And once I kind of figured out how to put on a runway show myself, I was like, all right, let me share this with people who may not be able to put on their own runway show, who don't have the time, don't have the resources, who have a full-time job and like can't focus on that, So the whole show is just ticket funded. Designers don't have to do anything except make beautiful clothes. I have an amazing producer who is just like my right hand and able to talk to venues, talk to the musical acts, because the whole thing is like we do it. It's not just a runway show with models. It's a dance performance show, and we work with the local dance
which
company.
is amazing. And it's like, I don't think people understand like what a high level of performance it is.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And it's giving a platform to not only the designers, but to this amazing local dance company, to these amazing freelance dancers who are like, go hire them to dance for whatever else, to amazing musicians who are creating the score or performing live.
Do you have any advice either for your past self before you started the store, right when you were starting it, or for other young creatives that want to start a physical location situation, what to do or what you would have done differently, or like what you think about that?
I think as a creative, find somebody who is the polar opposite of you to just help you with things that you cannot do.
Running the business, best. Logistics.
Even just like organizing stuff. The little things that because it gets really overwhelming when you're running a business. It's like you have 1,000 things and you have to figure out what to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's something that you don't want to do, like for example, tagging a bunch of dresses or adding them into an inventory system.
You can find someone to do that.
Emailing, find somebody to do that really early on. Because once you're going, it's hard to add somebody into the hustle of it. But if like right when you are like doing it and starting, you find someone and you're like, please just help me with shit I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you find that person and they grow with you, then like that is the one advice I would give myself.
Yeah.
Back then I'd be like, find somebody to help you.
And do you have that person now?
Here and there.
Yeah.
Here and there. I'm still learning to delegate.
Yeah.
I'm still learning to have other people help me. And it's hard to fill somebody in on like everything that has happened in the past few years.
And all the nuance of what it takes to do this.
Exactly. It's really like it would take days of training somebody to have them come on, which is something I don't really have time for. But this spring, I've found somebody who is that person,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like slowly having her help me more and more, and it's gotten a lot easier.
That's
but
great.
I think
on
that
you or teaching
it's
her.
gotten a lot easier on me. But I think that with the store and with my business, I've pretty much got everything on lock.
Yeah.
Because I've just been doing it myself for a long time.
What motivates you or like gets you through a bad month? If like I feel like January is really slow for all of the fashion world. Like how do you get through January?
I get through January by just writing a lot and reading a lot and
the hope of spring.
Just the hope of spring. Yeah, truly. Sometimes I'll like make summery spring dresses to like just remind myself that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But January is slow retail wise. I think that the first few years I had the store were really hard because I was like, whoa, where did all the sales go? But now I've been doing it for long enough where I'm like, okay, January is like the month where I don't go out. January is the month where like I'm not spending money on like silly things like an Uber home, like just kind of pulling back in every regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the next thing for your work in your world? Is it the reworked Brooklyn store? Is it expanding bridal? Is it like what is next for you?
I think that for me personally, it's expanding bridal, taking on more custom projects, and just keeping what I have going where I just make dresses in my free time. I think that like I found a really good thing. And sometimes this is another good piece of advice. Sometimes you don't need to grow. Sometimes if you're happy where you are, you can just stay there for a while. I think that like our world is really built around like, okay, what's next?
Scale. Let's
Come
$25
on.
million. Let's
Yeah.
get there.
Let's like, you want to make as much money as possible. You want to, all right, you've been doing this for a while. Let's find a piece that you can mass produce. Let's find a piece that you can, even if it's like mass producing on a small scale, like ethically, there's always like the next thing that you're expected to do. Okay, now that you've done a play, let's get you costume designing a film. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, like, and I have found that really exhausted me when I was on that wave. Now I am doing the same thing every day, same walk to work every day, eating the same breakfast every day. And it's really nice. It feels like every day is like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. So just like slow down, enjoy your life.
Slowing down, yeah.
You have so much time.
Life is long.
Yeah.
Life is really long. And you always see those like infographic thingies on Instagram or wherever where it's like Vera Wang didn't start making dresses until this age.
Wait, I love seeing that shit.
Love seeing
I'm like,
those
thank
too.
you.
Yeah, it's a really nice reminder, but it's also just like you like it reminds you that like you are so young, even at like 30 something, even at 40 something. You have so much time to achieve so many things, you know, like slow down and appreciate it.
You don't have to make it when you're 29.
No,
you don't have to make it in your 20s. You
all.
don't have to make it in your 30s
it's
or
so
your
much
40s
more
or your
chic
50s.
to like make it at your 70s, to be like fat and old and just like eating chocolate bonbons like in your dream world, just thinking about all the experiences,
all the work you had to do to get there, and it's so much more valuable and worth it.
Exactly. But I feel like there is no, I mean, in the traditional fashion industry too, there's no community. It's like there's a fake community.
There's competition.
The community is competition. And I think that we've found something really beautiful in this world where it's like, you know, you and I can sit together as people who do the same thing and not be competitive with one another at all, because it's just like there is no,
and encourage each other and love each other and see the value in each other's work and not feel like, oh, you're intrinsic, like you're getting in my lane. Like know that there's space for both of us.
Yeah, it brings me so much joy when somebody comes into the store and tries on a few dresses of mine and a few dresses of other people's and they go with the other designer, because I'm like, that's so cool. Like they're not even here to like sell their dress, and like that dress just sold itself. Like their work is amazing. And then I go back to them and I'm like, hey, like just sold that purple fluffy dress that you like dropped off last week. The person who bought it is wearing it to a wedding and she loves it. You know, like
huge.
That brings me just as much joy as like personal success. Final pieces of advice would just be like, do it, you know?
Just do it. Keep going. It's
Nothing's
so hard.
Scary.
It's going to be awesome.
Everything's hard, but nothing's hard.
Come to Reworked Runway.
Yeah, come to the runway show every Earth Day. This year's show is going to be crazy.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this wild episode of The Pod. Liv is truly like no other and somehow the perfect Victorian woman and punk rocker at the same time. If you want to meet her or shop her pieces, go visit her store in Williamsburg at 293 Manhattan Ave in Brooklyn. If you work for the New York Times or the New Yorker, please do a write-up about the store. Come on, it's been too iconic for too long. It needs a write-up. And if you want to hear even more deep cut lore about her journey and how she runs the store, check out the Isaboko Substack for the full episode. If you want to check out my work, it's at isaboko.com or at isaboko_. If you want to check out my work, it's at isaboko.com or at isaboko_ on Instagram. Sadly, I don't have an in-person store, but maybe soon. If you are an Italian landlord grandpa, please hit me up. I will be a great tenant. Here is a sneak peek of the next episode.
I'm really excited for next week because I'm going to teach about like colonization and how like fashion is kind of a vehicle for that at times, and how it was used in history, and then of course like relate it back to the runway. If I'm teaching students that are going to produce fashion shows, like I want them to question like the work that's being presented on the runway. I want them to question, is this like really how we want to tell the story? Is this our story to tell? Like, does it make sense to be producing shows twice a year that are this big on this fast of a schedule?
So what's the stitch?